Cut the lock. That's how it started. Karen Whitmore's voice sharp enough to peel paint blasting across my front field that hot Sunday, right as the sun hit its meanest. You ever hear something so out of place it makes the birds stop singing? That was her. Next thing I know, there's the metallic snap of my gate lock hitting the dirt, and a whole parade of folks in neon vests, sunglasses, and bad attitudes stomping straight through my driveway like they're serving a warrant on a cartel boss. I swear for a second I thought, hell, maybe I missed a car payment or something. There were 3 trucks out front, HOA patrol, painted on the doors in big block letters like it was supposed to scare anybody. Cameras rolling, neighbors with clipboards barking orders, dust flying everywhere, my own property turning into a reality TV show, and I wasn't even the star. I dropped the wrench I was using, wiped my hands on my jeans, and walked to the porch, just slow enough to make them wonder if I was about to grab a shotgun or offer them lemonade. And leading the charge, of course, was Karen, red in the face, hair perfectly set, hands shaking from the sheer force of righteous HOA fury. She pointed right at me and hollered, "This area is under HOA inspection," as if she expected me to salute. All I did was lean on the rail, give her the half smile I save for telemarketers, and say, "You sure you're in the right jurisdiction? 'Cause see, not 50 feet behind that barn door, Sheriff Tom Brown, County Law, old buddy of mine, was sitting at my kitchen table sipping his coffee, completely unaware a suburban mob was trying to stage a coup right on his watch." And before we get to this wild rodeo, just tell me where you're watching from. Seriously, comment your time zone, and if you haven't already, hit subscribe. You're going to want to see how this whole thing shakes out. Now, most people think living next to an HOA means peace order kids on bikes and lawns so green they look spray painted. And maybe it is if you're into rules and beige fences and newsletters about proper mailbox height. Me, I bought my land 15 years ago, 20 acres of God's quiet just beyond the shiny white boundary line of Cypress Ridge Estates. Built my own farmhouse, painted the barn red, planted corn, raised a few horses. I breathed deep, no HOA meetings, no dues, and definitely nobody telling me what my porch light should look like. Freedom, in other words. But Karen, she had other plans. She moved in about 4 years back, instantly made herself HOA president, blazer pressed clipboard glued to her hand, the kind of woman who polices trick-or-treat hours and carries spare trash bags for other people's litter. She looked at my place and saw a problem to be solved. First time she marched up to the fence, she wrinkled her nose and said, "Your horses smell offensive to the community." I just laughed. "Ma'am, this is a farm. What you're smelling is nature." She didn't appreciate the lesson. From that day on, I was her personal villain. Letters in the mailbox every week, unauthorized livestock, improper landscaping, even a warning that my barn violated community visual standards because it wasn't beige like the HOA houses. Beige try. Painting a working barn beige in Texas and see how long before someone calls the fire department. It got ridiculous fake fines printed at home, probably stamped with a seal she made on Canva. The county clerk laughed when I called. My land's been agricultural for 50 years, zoned that way since before the HOA folks invented their bylaws. I could have built a skyscraper for chickens and nobody in Cypress Ridge could say a word. But Karen hated the word no. She started showing up with her so-called patrol, snapping photos of my fence, threatening to document violations. That's when I finally called the sheriff. Tom Brown and I went to high school together, did some dumb stuff back in the day, but he always had a good head on his shoulders. He believed in actual law, not HOA justice. The look on Karen's face when he stepped out of his cruiser worth its weight in gold. She waved a folder of printouts in his face, and he just handed them back and said, "Ma'am, this isn't worth the paper it's printed on." After that, she saw Tom as my co-conspirator. But the letters kept coming. Rumors started flying. Suddenly, I was running an illegal salvage yard, maybe even growing something suspicious behind my barn. She had a following too, a whole HOA posse that wanted to matter more than they did. Then came her biggest mistake. One Friday, Tom called, needed a place to stay for the weekend while working a case about stolen construction equipment. My farm, with its big red barn, was perfect for laying low. We set him up in the guest house, planned to drink coffee, maybe talk about old times. Karen, of course, drove by, saw the sheriff's unmarked SUV, and decided I was hosting a criminal enterprise. The next morning, I found a paper taped to my gate. "Emergency HOA safety inspection will be conducted immediately. Failure to cooperate may result in legal action." Legal action. From an HOA with no claim on my land. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my coffee. But deep down I knew Karen wasn't just annoying. She was dangerous when she thought she had power. So I got ready, checked the cameras, made sure the security system worked, and put one camera facing the gate wide as it'd go. Sheriff Brown saw the notice and just shook his head. "She's really asking for trouble, Mike." I grinned. Well, this time she might just find it. The morning of the raid was bright, hot, and quiet. Too quiet. Until it wasn't. I heard engines, lots of them. Looked out and saw 3 white trucks barreling down my road, HOA badges stuck on the doors, men in vests hopping out clipboards at the ready. And there was Karen Lipstick blazing, standing in the front like a game show host. I could see neighbors gathering phones out. Even my dogs were barking, ready for the show. She didn't come for a chat, she came for a spectacle. She wanted to humiliate me to show everybody what happened to folks who didn't bow to the HOA. I just leaned back, let her perform, because I knew she was digging her own hole, and the best thing you can do for folks like that is to stand back and watch. And right there in the middle of this farce twist, number one, my neighbor Linda showed up the day before, nervous as a squirrel at a dog show. "Karen's holding an emergency meeting tonight, says you're hiding something, wants to send in the patrol, even mentioned Channel 6 News." I nearly choked. Am I violating their sunshine quota now? She didn't laugh. "She's serious, Mike." That made me pause. A mob with a cause, even a stupid one, can get dangerous real quick. The next day, a local delivery guy pulls up. "Hey, your HOA neighbors are loading trucks. Looks like they're headed your way." I just smiled. Perfect. What Karen didn't know was that the sheriff staying with me wasn't just on vacation. He was investigating some funny business in the HOA itself. Money laundering, fake invoices, the works. The treasurer of Cypress Ridge Estates was knee-deep, and Karen was about to become the star witness for all the wrong reasons. So there I was, checking my cameras, repositioning them for better angles. I wanted everything on film, their version, my version, every version. Sheriff Brown stepped out of the guest house, saw my grin, and said, "You got that look again, Mike. Like the time we pranked Principal Harris." I just shrugged. "This time it's legal. Mostly." He went back inside to work his files. Meanwhile, word spread Karen's special compliance committee was about to invade my property. And right on time around lunch, my phone buzzed another neighbor warning me, "Karen's leading a group to your property. She's got cameras." I just texted back, "Coffee's on." Then I wiped my hands and stepped outside just as 3 pickup trucks rolled up tires, popping gravel like gunfire. HOA logos taped to the doors. Karen front and center clipboard, raised sunglasses on lips pursed like she was about to hand down the 10 Commandments. Her backup Stan, her husband big guy but henpecked. Don, a retired security guard who thought he was still working at the mall. And Marv, community volunteer phone always rolling. Karen pointed at my gate lock. "That's a violation of community access codes." I raised an eyebrow. "Karen, this isn't a park. It's private property." She huffed. "We'll see what the board has to say about that." I just crossed my arms and let her rant. She turned to her team. "Record this for documentation. If he refuses compliance, we proceed with inspection." Stan stepped up, bolt cutters in hand, gave me a nervous look. "We've got orders, ma'am." "Cut it," she snapped. And so he did. Snip, clatter, lock on the dirt. Karen spun back to me, eyes gleaming like she'd just captured the flag. "This property is now under official HOA inspection." I just smiled. "Is that so?" She puffed up. "You can cooperate or we can escalate this to the authorities." I shrugged. "Funny you mention authorities, because right then from behind the barn door came the sound of boots on gravel. Sheriff Brown, all 6'2" of him, stepped out, badge gleaming, and for a second every HOA patrol member stopped dead like kids caught egging the principal's house. Karen blinked. Who are you?" Brown stepped forward, voice like thunder. "Sheriff Brown, ma'am, county law enforcement. And you are trespassing." Karen's face went from red to chalky white. "No, we're conducting an inspection. Under what authority?" Brown's voice was pure steel. "Under HOA regulations, this property is in violation of..." He cut her off. "Ma'am, this land is not part of your HOA. You've entered without permission, damaged property, and disrupted the peace. That's criminal trespass." Stan dropped the bolt cutters like they were on fire. Don put his phone away. Marv started backing up, looking for an exit. Karen tried to bluff, but Brown just lifted his radio. "Dispatch, I've got unauthorized individuals on private property, possible vandalism and trespass. Send a unit. Karen's jaw fell open. You're calling for backup. For us. Brown nodded. You broke into someone's land with bolt cutters. What did you think was going to happen? A ribbon-cutting ceremony that broke the crowd? Neighbors laughed, phones up, recording every second as Karen's little army wilted under the hot sun. You can't detain us! Karen screeched, voice all cracks and panic. I'll report you to the HOA board. Brown raised an eyebrow. To who? She was done, but her mouth didn't know it yet. You'll regret this. I'll sue all of you. Brown didn't even blink. You're welcome to try. But first you'll explain why you forced entry onto private land. The deputies arrived, black and white cruisers sliding up, sirens off, but lights blazing like this was the crime of the century. Stan's hands shook as he fished for his wallet. We were just following orders. Whose orders? Asked the deputy. Stan looked at Karen. She stared at her shoes, too busy losing to answer. The officers separated the group, took statements, photographed the lock. Checked my camera footage. One officer actually read Karen her rights. Stan muttered, I told her this was a bad idea. I leaned close and whispered, next time listen to your husband. She didn't answer. She was out of script. And here's the lesson. The moment it hit me like a slap, but gentler. When people get a taste of power, they'll do anything to keep it. Doesn't matter if it's a boardroom, a neighborhood, or the White House. It's not the title or the uniform. It's the story you tell yourself when no one else is watching. Karen wasn't evil. She was convinced she was right. She thought rules made her just when all they really did was blind her to decency. Sheriff Brown handed me the broken lock. Guess you'll need a new one. I just grinned. Nah, Sheriff, I think I'll keep this one. Souvenir. Karen's spectacle made local news by evening. The footage went viral. HOA Karen tries to arrest farmer. Real sheriff shows up instead. 30,000 views by breakfast. The comment section was a war zone, memes, jokes, angry rants about HOAs everywhere. Karen tried to spin it, claiming she'd been ambushed, but nobody was buying it, especially when the sheriff's investigation tied the HOA to a network of fraud, fake contracts, laundered funds, all running through Cypress Ridge. Turned out Karen was more than a busybody. She was a pawn in something bigger. And the twist, the best twist, came from Stan, her own husband. He showed up with a bag of homemade biscuits. Karen's recipe, he said, sheepish as could be. She's been spending HOA money left and right. Hired contractors that don't exist, paying for upgrades no one ever saw. I kept copies of the bank receipts, the emails if the sheriff needs them. That flash drive in Stan's hand was the nail in the coffin. The next morning, Karen tried to confront me one last time, yoga pants, wild hair, yelling that I'd ruined her. I just told her the truth. She did it herself. By noon, Brown was back with a warrant, deputies in tow. Karen Whitmore, the queen of the HOA, was arrested for embezzlement, fraud, and obstruction. The neighbors watched, phones raised, as the once mighty president left in handcuffs. No audience, no applause, just silence. Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just clicks shut, quiet as a lock on a sunny morning. A few weeks later, the state dissolved the Cypress Ridge HOA. Gone officially forever. The same folks who used to cower now laughed at the legend of the farmer who beat the HOA with nothing but coffee cameras and a little patience. The sheriff told me, "You're something of a legend around here. People say you taught them what happens when you stop questioning authority." And it's true. Rules mean nothing if they aren't fair. Power's just a tool, dangerous in the wrong hands, useless without humility. Arrogance built Karen's little empire. Patience brought it down. Now, every morning I walk the fence, breathe the quiet, and remember that the best defense is knowing where your boundaries are, then holding them not with anger, but with steady hands. Power doesn't come from titles or threats. It comes from doing the right thing, even when it's a pain in the neck. So what about you? Ever had to stand your ground against a Karen or a board or anyone who thought a badge made them? God, did you fight back or just wait for karma to show up with a camera and a badge? Tell me your story down below. Let's talk about right, wrong, and what happens when justice takes the scenic route. And hey, don't forget to subscribe. You never know when karma will come knocking right on your front gate.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.